Hi and welcome to another GC Mysteries video, this time talking about the first British female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. Okay, so this video is about the first ever British female Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, who became known as the Iron Lady, and I've named this video Fear Thy Thatcher because Margaret Thatcher was a strong woman who didn't bow down to pressure, and in fact became known for one saying of the ladies not for turning. So she was a strong woman. Now unfortunately she died on the 8th of April in 2013, aged 87, and her husband had died 10 years before her in 2003, but she was a British politician and stateswoman. She served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990 and was the leader of the Conservative Party from 1975 to 1990. So she was the longest serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century and also the first woman to hold that office. So not only is she the longest serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century, but she actually was the first female British Prime Minister in the country's history. So obviously she was very good and very strong, must have been, to get that history as well as just being a Prime Minister. Weirdly enough though, it was a Soviet journalist that dubbed her the Iron Lady, and that was a nickname that became associated with her uncompromising politics and leadership style. Because as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom she didn't compromise, and if she said no to something, that's how it sat, and she wasn't one for being bullied into doing something that she didn't want to do. So and as Prime Minister of the UK she implemented policies that became known and now are known as Thatcherism. So it wasn't just Donald Trump who got his last name changed to Trumpism. Margaret Thatcher was the female and British equivalent, not bowing down to political pressure or any pressure, in fact. Now, before she was a politician, she studied chemistry at Somerville College in Oxford, and she briefly worked as a research chemist before becoming a barrister. so she was well set for a career in politics and law. She was elected as the Member of Parliament for Finchley first in 1959, and Edward Heath appointed her Secretary of State for Education and Science in his 1970 to 1974 government. Although in 1975 she actually defeated Heath in the Conservative Party leadership election and became leader of the opposition, the first woman to lead a major political party. Now, we all know that there has only ever been two female prime ministers in the whole of the United Kingdom's history, first being Margaret Thatcher, and then secondly Theresa May, and they were in no way familiar. Now, on becoming Prime Minister after winning the 1979 general election, Margaret Thatcher introduced a series of economic policies intended to reverse high inflation and Britain's struggles in the wake of the winter of discontent and an oncoming recession. And she will have right now and will hold for many years to come a great legacy. She actually survived an assassination attempt of her by the Provisional IRA in the 1984 Brighton hotel bombing, and achieved a political victory against the National Union of Mine Workers in the 1984-85 miners' strike. She was re-elected for a third term with another landslide in 1987, but her subsequent support for the community charge, which was poll tax, was widely unpopular, and her increasingly Eurosceptic views on the European community were not shared by others in her cabinet, and this saw her resign as the Prime Minister and the party leader in 1990. Which I believe is the only time she ever backed down in the whole of her political career. Now, after retiring from the House of Commons in 1992, where she sat as a backbencher for the previous 2 years from 1990, she was given a life peerage as Baroness Thatcher of Kesteven in the county of Lincolnshire, which entitled her to sit in the House of Lords. Now, as I said at the start of this, unfortunately in 2013 she passed away and died at the Ritz Hotel in London at the age of 87 from a stroke. It does say though that she was a controversial figure in British politics, and I think we all know that, but is nonetheless viewed favourably in historical rankings of British Prime Ministers, and to be the longest serving Prime Minister of the 20th century, she must have been favoured more than hated or disliked. Now, she spent the final years of her life from 2003 to 2013 widely out of the public eye, even though on the 11th of June 2004 she went against the advice of her doctors and attended the state funeral service for Ronald Reagan, where she delivered her eulogy via a videotape in view of her health. The message had been pre-recorded several months earlier. She flew to California with the Reagan entourage and attended the memorial service and intimate ceremony for the president at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. As I stated before, though, this was against doctor's orders, and really she should have stayed in the United Kingdom, but not one for being told what to do. Even in 2004 she did what she wanted. Now, in 2005 she had criticised the way the decision to invade Iraq had been made 2 years previously, although she still supported the intervention to topple Saddam Hussein. She said that as a scientist she would always look for facts, evidence and proof before committing the armed forces. Now, luckily she celebrated her 80th birthday on the 13th of October at the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in Hyde Park in London, and guests to that birthday included the Queen, the Duke of Edinburgh, Princess Alexandra and Tony Blair. Geoffrey Howe, Baron Howe of Aberavon, was also in attendance and said of his former leader, her real triumph was to have transformed not just one party but two, so that when Labour did eventually return, the great bulk of Thatcherism was accepted as irreversible. Now, she again went to the United States in 2006 to attend the official Washington DC memorial service to commemorate the 5th anniversary of the September 11th attacks on the US, and she was a guest of the Vice President of that day, Dick Cheney, and met Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice during her visit. So, not one to be told what to do. She did a lot of things her way, and carried on until her unfortunate death. But if you want to learn more about Margaret Thatcher, you can search Margaret Thatcher. You can search the Margaret Thatcher Foundation, or even search the Iron Lady in all of the usual places such as Google, Bing, YouTube, Wikipedia, and anywhere else you can think of. But a lot of her legacy will remain, and she will forever be remembered, not just for being a Prime Minister, but making history in the United Kingdom. Thank you for watching this GC Mysteries video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe and click the notification bell. If you can, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/GC Mysteries. See us on Facebook and Twitter, GC Mysteries, and bye bye for now.